Yeah. Episode 8. We back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trap
shit.
Yeah.
Trap shit.
Just ride to it. Ride it.
Trapkast.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo! Episode 8. Cancel Kanye. KD is here.
Dizzle.
Snow is here.
What up, what up?
Your boy Ferg is here.
Yeah.
And G is here.
G.
Chillin'. Say something loud, G.
What's up?
There we go. We got you.
In the building.
Yeah.
Yo, ready and willing.
Woo. It's good to see y'all boys, man.
What's up?
You know,
good to be seen.
I just ran down here. I had a 4-hour trip before this. Come back down here to do the podcast. See, I'm dedicated to y'all.
Yo, you were schlepping.
Yeah, man. I literally was wearing the same shit that I wore yesterday.
That's when you're grinding like one of the white tees. Like
Jay-Z said same clothes for days.
Yeah, I know, right? It was rolling down. I hate trips like that, though, man. 4 hours down there, then come right back the next day. I hate that.
I mean, I hate to speak ill on Georgia, but that drive is also not that scenic. You're not really
terrible.
looking at much.
You don't see shit but Confederate flags.
And also the cops on that trip, on that route are really, really extra.
Actually, they weren't extra this weekend because I was flying down that motherfucker.
And also, your windows are tinted as a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah, they ain't gonna know if I'm black or not.
Dude, I know several people that have been pulled over on that stretch just because their windows are too tinted.
And I know, and then I got the I got the like the spiffy color on it.
Yeah, you got that pearl.
They
know
that pearl
like,
this motherfucker definitely gonna be. If he ain't speeding now, he gonna be speeding in a motherfucking second.
I like that color though, because it's like you. When I look at it, I'm like you from Tampa, Florida. I don't know why they
got that T-Pain.
It's like a Tampa, Florida.
Buy you a drink.
Earl fell in love with the stripper.
So let's talk about this episode, y'all. So we all just finished watching the David Letterman, Kanye West interview. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later, but we are begging the question: cancel Kanye?
That's a
cancel Kanye.
Big question to start off with.
Ooh, so let's talk about one thing: the whole cancel culture now. Like, how do we feel about that? What is it really doing to us as in the hip hop culture itself?
I think we learning how to organize, but I think we kind of directing it in ways that kind of like it's kind of petty.
Like we swung the pendulum in the right way, but too hard.
Yeah,
like we need to pull it back a little bit.
We learning how to organize, but we organizing for the wrong shit. Yeah. It's like.
Yeah.
We want extra pickles on the damn hamburgers. So we gonna organize and cancel that shit.
Yeah, the big thing, it's like so much, the cancel culture has made so many people that shouldn't fucking have a voice have a voice now. I mean, so much of social media is involved with that. And you can't say, and we'll talk about this later, and Kanye kind of got into this in his interview, you can't really say shit these days.
No.
Like, it's like, man, everyone gets offended by everything, and you're saying something wrong that you didn't know was wrong, and you forgetting letters out of, acronyms for different cultures, and you're like, oh no, but it's an extra Q at the end of that. You forgot that part, stuff like that. So it's getting crazy, man. What do you think, Snow?
There's definitely like obviously exceptions to the rule. Like I don't think anybody liked finding out about like. Some of the things that Harvey Weinstein or like a Bill Cosby were doing. Like certain people do need to get out of here, but like it does seem like, and I think Kanye said this really well in the David Letterman interview. People with no real clarity or like smarts or good perceptions or any value in society can say something about anyone, and like all of a sudden that's like forever. Yeah. So it's weird to me that accusations are now like final judgments, and Kanye was right. There's no process of like debate anymore.
So you think, and you think social media has kind of helped like
it's gaslighted it for sure.
Yeah,
Same way that social media gaslights like materialism or bullying, like a lot of like negative like effects of society like are definitely like fueled in like a big way by social media.
Yeah, I think it's gotten so crazy. It's at like this weird peak now that I just can't fuck with. Like,
it feels real toxic, right?
Yeah, it feels really toxic. Yeah. Like it's like the at first this this thing could possibly do good, but now it's like that this whole like cancel culture within the social media realm is like this weird villain who like who's sometimes doing good, but in some cases using their fucking powers for like evil and shit like that. And like trying to cancel everybody and destroy everyone's lives and don't really give a fuck or don't have context to anything. So yeah, I'm really like at the point where it's like I just got to be like, yo, y'all got to chill the fuck out. And then I'm at the point where I'm like, fuck it, just say what the fuck you want, and I'll just suffer the consequences.
You remember being in school and learning about like the Salem witch trials, how like a bunch of people in Massachusetts just running around looking for witches to burn. Like social media kind of feels like the modern day version of that. Like we're just looking for somebody to like crucify. And, you know, sometimes that can be like we're crucifying the right people, but sometimes it feels like, you know, we're crucifying people. Like I think what happened to like Aziz Ansari is a little crazy. And I think, you know, Kanye kind of goes through that same thing where definitely he's done some things that are like really upsetting to hear about when you hear about them. But then when you like have time for reflection and you can put things in context, you realize like not everything that we've been like really upset because of like the media's portrayal of it is like, you know, exactly how it was said to be. Exactly. So I don't know. I don't think we should cancel him.
Yeah, I definitely think there are a lot of people that, you know, I generally, you know, it's hard for me to be looking at another black man and be like, yo, let me cancel him and shit like that. It's like cancel our whole fucking they try to cancel our whole fucking race many times. So so it's hard for me to do that. But like in this case, even if he was black or white, it's like not one of those things where it's just I feel like we should be, you know, killing this man and like saying hey, destroying his life, his family's life, and all of that. So
at the end of the day, like we should have some degree of separation of the artist versus the person. Like people should, even if they're really famous, be allowed to be like individuals. And as long as he's not overtly like directly hurting someone, especially physically, then like you kind of have to let him live in his opinion.
Yep.
And accept that might change. Sometimes we might like what he says. Sometimes we might hate. And like he is allowed to be a person.
Exactly. He is his own man. And he doesn't control everything that, you know, goes on for us. There's always always new leaders to kind of be at the forefront of the things that we agree on. So you let the man be who he gonna be, and you just got to live with that. You know what I mean? So let's kind of get to the next step, like, you know, what a lot of people say really matters, and that's the music. Yeah,
the music, right? Well, I'm interested to hear what your favorite Kanye, and is this like, are we talking about our favorite Kanye album or like what we think the best Kanye album is? Because the two are different.
I think your favorite.
Your favorite? All right.
Yeah. So I think probably College Dropout is my favorite.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so
that one's definitely like the one where he broke the most ground, probably.
And at the time period, it was like in the realm of like where I was and like I could just really feel what he was saying in that, and it just you know, a person of my age and, you know, either people getting ready to go to the college at that time or already in college at that time, it just really like gave you like a little like boost of like, this motherfucker understand this bullshit we going through with this whole college thing.
That was 2004. That was I was in high school already by that point. Yeah. And I remember like I remember watching Through the Wire premiere on MTV or at BET, and that came out before the album, but I remember the feeling I had when I heard that first track on that album, like such a crazy, like that song is amazing still to this day.
At this time, you know, Kanye is my favorite producer.
For Blueprint and stuff like that?
Yeah, for everything, like so much shit he had already done. And Through the Wire comes out, you know, I hear it before the video comes out. I might have heard it online where some shit like that somehow I got leaked or something like that back in the day.
Shout out to Kaza.
I heard it before. I was like, yo, the sample on that joint was crazy.
Dark web.
Yeah. And it just felt cool. Like, you know, he's spitting through the actual wires after his accident at the time had the wires mouth shut. So yeah, that really just, you know, a lot of that stuff on that album spoke to me.
Did you hear Shaka Khan's recent, like, you know, she kind of like threw like some shade at that sample? Because I guess they used a sample of hers for that.
Yeah.
But she was like, it's weird. I didn't like it. And
it's
like,
a different
she
genre.
said that recently.
I mean, it's a different era of music.
Yeah, totally.
Shaka, that shit is fire.
Yeah, that song is one of my favorite songs ever, for sure.
No smoke for Shaka, but I mean, babe, you gotta rock with what's. I mean,
I think she's just older and may not understand sample culture. Yeah. Like sample culture is something that I think is very like young generation. Like,
but I still love you, Shaka.
Yeah. Same.
Maybe she's like not fucking with the sped up shit. Well,
I think that's what it was.
We were all fucking with that.
Changed her voice. Give me a high pitched chipmunk all day. Drop like a piano or some strings of some kind on there.
We loved your ass sounding like Alvin.
That was cutting edge music.
Nobody was really doing that.
Like, he broke the mold when he was doing that.
And the way he was using the soul samples, like a lot of the samples we were hearing before were like jazz samples, right? But now, you know,
a lot of people weren't altering samples like he was either.
They weren't altering the speed of the sample. And then if they were using vocals, it was a lot of times it was along with a scratch, unless you were Diddy and you were just using all them vocals just straight up how they were.
And worrying about the lawsuit later.
And so, but Kanye sped them shits up and just was, that shit would just sound so amazing. What about you? What was your favorite album?
For me, Graduation, I think. I mean, I always, this rotates a lot for me, but a lot of the things you just said about Late Registration were true for me about Graduation. I just remember where I was. That might be the album that I played on repeat almost more than any other album, like, of all music. Like, Graduation was just really good. It also felt like it was the first time that we saw Kanye sort of step away from, like, trying to be like a conscious rapper, like, you know, like a rappity rap, backpack rapper. Like, he started getting into, like, his more artistic, like, left field bag, and so that was really great. There's just songs on it like Flashing Lights. Like, I just think it's like a really pretty song. Like, it's cool. Lights. Oh man, that's a great one. Only thing about Graduation, man, though, is like I hated Drunky Hot Girls, and I was really like, I saw the title listing of that, and I was like, oh fuck, like this, the two of them together is gonna be amazing. Same thing with Barry Bonds. Didn't really like that with Lil Wayne, and I was at the time a huge Lil Wayne fan. I remember being really disappointed that song wasn't better.
Were you disappointed because it was Barry Bonds and Barry Bonds was doing steroids?
No, man, I don't have any. I'm not a huge sports guy, but I've never understood why people throw so much shade towards performance enhancing drugs or whatever. Like, I feel like there's a lot of ways people enhance their performance. I don't, you know.
I think it's because everybody's like, especially if you're ATLian, Mr. Hank Aaron.
I'm not a sports guy enough to know I'm supposed to have that grudge.
Who really broke that record off of just...
Well, then fuck Barry Bonds then, right?
Off the quick wrist.
Yeah, shout out to Hank
Aaron.
Had
the quick wrist. He just looked like a regular dude. Hank Aaron looked like your damn uncle. This motherfucker hitting home runs.
Like he would teach you soccer growing up or some shit. Like,
and he was just a regular dude.
Like John Witherspoon.
You know, all of these, like, you know, ATL athletes, like, especially we were talking about, like, who was it? Holyfield, like Hank Aaron was also just a regular dude, nice guy, didn't do too much, you know what I mean?
That is the cool thing about Atlanta. We make some like really big celebrities that still at the end of the day like regular people.
Light on the regular
everyday people.
Yeah.
So Katie, what about you?
I mean, I like Graduation. I also like 808 Heart in Heart.
Yeah, that one has a special place in my heart.
I love that.
I've been loving you.
It just brings out
Trapkast dope as hell.
Yeah.
We gon' rule the world. Pink and black on you.
Yeah, well, but Graduation brings me back to college.
Yeah.
And it's like Kanye delivers his message in such an authentic way.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he is out there, and honestly, Kanye has always been in his own bag. He's never fit in. He doesn't fit in. I mean, people need to understand, you're never gonna get Kanye because he doesn't want to fit in.
Yeah.
All he's trying to do is try to communicate.
Right.
And it's very hard for him because we're not on the same wavelength. And so shit gonna come off corny or shit gonna come off the wall. So all I know is through his music, that's where everybody get on the same page. His music is like how he stitches back, he gets back with normal society because, we are able to vibe. Through his artistry, through his message, how he delivers it.
Yeah.
I think that's the way we all get back to understanding what's going on with Kanye and, you know, the points he's trying to drive home. And I just say, you know, through all his antics, through all this Trump shit, just keep pumping music, man. Let the man be him. I mean, we all human. It's not fair to all the celebrities who get all this limelight. You know, every day we do some shit that might not be quite PC. You know, everybody does. Everybody might, you know, you might have road rage and say some stupid, wild ass shit that, you know, if anybody else heard you say that, coming from church, you in traffic and somebody cut you off, or somebody, doing something that you don't like on the road, something gonna come out your mouth. And if anybody heard that, especially if you was a celebrity, your ass would be roasted. It'd be over for you. And so I believe, it is some truth in him. Saying y'all need to back the fuck up. Let him live his
like Katie
truth.
said, it would be over for y'all if
It would be.
Well, and also I think the other thing that I myself have forgotten to like give him credit for is that like his life is like that of like a Britney Spears or an Elton John or something. Like he can't step outside without being like, I mean, when you see like the perspective of what it looks like with like a lot of times we just see that close up of just him walking down the sidewalk, but we don't see that like zoomed out where there's like 70 paparazzi around him snapping photos in his face and stuff, and that's got to feel suffocating.
And like we said earlier, remember he's been through a lot of trauma. His rise, and that shit vibing. His rise to finally get fame with
just
Jay-Z.
makes me feel better.
And then his car wreck. And then his mother dying, and then all the trauma with Kim having complications with her birth. Right. I mean, he's been constantly going through stuff.
The robbery that she went through.
Yes.
You know how, man, that had me shook. You know what I mean? Like when you read about the details, can you imagine being on stage somewhere and someone coming up to you and being like, your wife just went through a robbery. Going backstage, hearing the details about how horrifying that must have been. Like they tied her up and put her in a bathtub. Like.
That's crazy.
Terrifying.
Yeah, and so I mean, get a man a fucking break. Let him be him. Let him breathe a little bit. Yeah, I think sometimes he get out of hand. Right. He sometimes he misuses his limelight a little bit. Yeah. But who doesn't do something that's just like kind of like what the fuck? I think everybody deserves a what the fuck. At a certain point in life.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm learning as I get older too, that like anybody I've ever really admired, like if you start to look too close at their life, you find out like it's happened with anybody, almost every single person. It's hard to think of one person that's not been true for, but like when you start looking at these people that you idolize like really closely, like you see that they're they can sometimes be a little bit bad, and you gotta be okay with that.
I mean, for me, like really at the end of the day, all I gotta say is like,
keep going. Yeah. Yo. Spit that shit, yay. Yo.
Do the Dame Dash.
Hey. Back at it.
All the guys that be with you. This joint was fire when we first heard it. Right down to the wire. I'm sorry, Shaka. It sounds good, baby. It sounds
nice.
So good.
It sounds so good.
I drink a boost for breakfast and it's of a dessert. It's mighty breakfast. I would sip the scissor.
Oh man, it just puts me in a good place. Like it doesn't matter how I'm feeling.
See how now we love Kanye? Like Kanye is the shit.
And see, that's what you got to do though. And when he was like peaking on his like Trump, MAGA, being at TMZ, wilding out, I had a friend of mine that was like, nah, just go back and listen to those first 3 albums real quick. And My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy too. And I did, and I'm like,
But no, that's why I said in a previous episode, I said, the reason why individuals are Teflon is if the music is good, it doesn't matter. So what's happening, and we can transition.
We need to start a list of Teflon people.
We can transition that. Anybody who's making dope ass music is gonna be Teflon. So we can transition that now. So like we already talked about Kanye music then, and then Kanye music now. So for me, I'm not as much feeling a lot of the stuff that he's making for himself.
Did y'all see the interview that Genius did? It wasn't an interview. It was like a panel discussion with Jinx and like a couple other dudes. Anyways, Jinx said something really well. He was like, after like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, it starts to feel like Kanye maybe like has less focus like on each album, like less and less focus. Yeah. And I think that that's very well said. Like, I mean, he released Pablo like 3 or 4 times, like before he said it was done. Yeah. So like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like they're as focused. So like pretty much almost everything after My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy has not been a repeatable album for me.
But I think he's been making good music for other artists on his label.
Yeah, Tiana Taylor.
I think he's made. I think he did a lot of good things for Tiana Taylor. Although it could have been a lot better. The problem was sample clearances and stuff like that.
They fumbled the release.
And obviously, Pusha T's joint was amazing, like a banger, like a quality album of the year candidate. You know what I mean?
I re-listened to it because of you. Like you suggesting that, I was like, damn, Ferg's right. Like this shit is really nice.
And so I think what I'm saying is like Kanye's music. I'm talking about his music himself. Like I want to have that full body of work where I could
that
feel
focus
it.
album.
Like I was hoping that this last album would be like this. I could go through and listen from track to track like old Kanye. You know what I mean? No matter how it sounds, like if it's a different sound, I don't care. Right. There were moments on that album that I liked. G, was talking about the one song. You remember the song name?
On Ye?
Yeah, on that last album, the one they were playing in the interview.
My hand on the stove.
Not the I thought about killing you, right?
No.
I actually have it pulled up right here. So there's I thought about killing you, yikes, all mine, wouldn't leave, no mistakes.
Yeah, I feel so free. Is that what it's called?
I think it's Ghost Town.
Yeah, Ghost Town. That's what it's called.
That's the second to last one.
That's like one of the only. I think that's the only song I like on the album. So I'm not used to saying that about Kanye. You know?
I don't know that album. I need to probably do a better job of re-listening to it. But I listened to it I think once or twice. So I listened to it like once or twice, and I so much other stuff that I would
rather listen to.
Yeah, that came out during that time because we get music all the time now. It's hard. I'm like, oh man, let me go give Ye another chance. And it's
I know you had an album like I think it was it Yeezus that you really enjoyed, Katie.
Fuck with
or Life of Pablo, was it?
I Lift My Hand.
That's a great song.
Both part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
And I like Flashing. I mean, Kanye is brilliant, man.
Yeah.
You can't really go wrong. I mean, you got I would say 80-90% chance of when you put on a Kanye shit, the shit's gonna bang. Whether you play it in the car, in the club.
Yeah.
And I think his life has became more complicated.
Yeah.
More recently, and I think it's more weighing on his head. He's a father now.
He's also a fashion mogul. I mean,
he's trying to be
furniture.
Cutting edge, so he's always trying to push it, but the shit ain't really real received, or it's not really delivered like it normally would be.
Yeah. I think I think so. I think he just has to reel it in and
simplify his life.
He definitely needs to simplify some things, like pare some stuff down, so he can concentrate a lot more on the music. Like this was Ghost Town.
He got a church going on and shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's church.
See if we can fast forward a little bit.
I rock with it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll hear it. They played it in the thing earlier.
Is that Kid Cudi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kid Cudi kills this joint.
Yeah.
Right, G? Kid Cudi kill it.
I mean, I'm a big Kid Cudi fan.
The ending of this joint, this part right here is amazing. I love this part. I feel kind of free. I'm still the kids we used to be. I put my hands on the stove.
That's what I just said. That was the name. I caught it.
And I still breathe. And nothing hurts anymore. So yeah, that's the joint.
I would love to hear Chance the Rapper on that shit too.
Yeah, he could have killed it. I think Kid Cudi did a great job. But that's like one. There may be like 2 songs I like on that album, but that's probably I think that's my favorite. Some people don't like that. I don't know why, but
yeah, I mean, I think I think the whole album track by track is pretty polarizing. Like there wasn't like a really easy Kanye song on that album.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think he scrapped everything. Like he redid the whole album like a week before it was.
All of those like last year when he did those like what was it like 7 albums over 7 weeks or something like that. They all had like everybody made comments about like up until the very last moment like Kanye was doing shit or whatever.
So let's move into the next part of Kanye, which is his rants, right? So one of the things which a lot of people agree with, although I don't think he formulated it very well when he first said it, was his whole George Bush doesn't love like black people rant.
Yo, I remember I was a real big MTV guy. I remember watching that.
Yeah, it was
I was like,
crazy,
wow.
man. But
he made Mike Myers uncomfortable.
But what's funny is when they switched to Chris Tucker. They're like,
yeah, he's
hold on. Yeah, guys. I mean, so,
oh man, what a crazy segue.
But the thing about it is, a lot of people felt that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time, like the FEMA response was late. Like everything about that Katrina situation was really severely mishandled, right?
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's still mishandled.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's the same way you mishandle every fucking thing for Black Americans. So,
Yeah.
so it's just
That's pretty much the trend.
Unfortunately,
If it benefits Black people, it's gonna get mishandled.
But I do think that Katrina had one of those like in history, it'll have one of those. You know, it's like one of the first times that and you see this as like cameras advanced, like they start to document things that didn't used to get documented.
Right.
And like all those shots of like seeing people on rooftops and like the chaos and stuff like that, like it created a visual that maybe had never been there before.
All right, here's some audio from that little
This is such
session.
a good point in pop culture.
Protecting New Orleans, the landscape of the city has changed dramatically, tragically, and perhaps irreversibly. There's now over 25 feet of water where there was once city streets and thriving neighborhoods.
I hate the way they portray us in the media. If you see a Black family, it says they're looting. See a white family, it says they're looking for food. And you know that it's been 5 days because most of the people are Black. And even for me to complain about, I would be a hypocrite because I've tried to turn away from the TV because it's too hard to watch. I've even been shopping before even giving a donation. So now I'm calling my business manager right now to see what is the biggest amount I can give, and just to imagine if I was down there, and those are my people down there. So anybody out there that wants to do anything that we can help with the setup, the way America is set up to help the poor, the Black people, the less well off as slow as possible.
I know, man.
So
can Mike Myers' face be like the cover art for this episode?
But Mike Myers was kind of taking it though. He was just looking.
No. I mean, I'm sure he was agreeing, but everybody was like.
But for me, I was like, okay, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but like the way you putting it together, it's just not. It's just too much. I was like, it's just fumbling all over it, man.
He's always rambled a little bit, right? Like he's a ranter. Like he rants.
Yeah, and so like that was a big problem. That was the only problem I had where I was like, okay, we definitely understand what you're saying. We're definitely in agreement with your statement, but he just wasn't getting it together like he needed to get. It needed to be solid. He needed to Obama that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If he would Obama it, he would be.
I like that Obama's a verb now. Like you got to Obama when you talk.
Obama, right? Exactly, man.
I rocks with that shit.
Yeah. Can we sidebar real quick? Does anybody remember that Lil Wayne's Georgia Bush song was like the best Katrina song out there? Like that song, do you guys remember that one?
I don't remember it.
I slipped past
my God, and Ferg doesn't like Lil Wayne, so
I love Lil Wayne.
I'll send you the track later. He goes, it's nuts. It's a crazy song.
I think
and then at the end he flips the beat and he raps over Tupac's like All Eyes on Me or something. It's a crazy song.
How you gonna tell Wayne I don't like him when I just play my favorite Wayne song?
Wayne, I got some news for you out there. Like
Wayne, I love you, bro.
Ferg's been talking that ish.
Oh man, Ferg won't smoke.
No, I'm just messing around. I like to gaslight it a little bit.
Yeah,
we got to get some controversy.
So that moment was crazy. But then we talked about this in the past, like the Taylor Swift moment.
Yeah, I played this for my girlfriend the other day because she wasn't in America when all this went down.
Yeah.
So she had never heard of this moment or whatever, and she's like became more of a Kanye fan because of this incident.
That was such a huge moment. Yeah. And shout out to Little Nas X for keeping Taylor Swift out of the #1 spot.
You gotta give it to him. You gotta get these long backs out of here.
Go, black man, go.
Is this like an unofficial not war, but competition against Taylor Swift? It's like Taylor Swift versus everybody.
I have a thing about the way you have a thing about white rappers. I have a thing about Taylor Swift.
I feel the same about Taylor Swift. I also feel a bit about Miley Cyrus. I feel like Miley Cyrus twerked across the stage for about a year and a half appropriating our culture, and then turn around and said at the end of that, she's like, I don't really like hip hop. It's all about twerking. It's like, you don't get to say that.
Wow.
You became famous on twerking. Like,
And so, like, you know,
Like-
when we were talking about, like, you know, the genre of country, you know, having its dominant moments. And so Taylor Swift doing that whole combination of country pop allowed her to continue to,
it was like country R&B pop too. She kept stealing things.
She's still a lot of
A
stuff.
little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Hey, man. The appropriation is living and
real.
strong.
But that was a crazy moment, right? Him marching on stage. You remember he had that full bottle of Hennessy? He showed up to the awards ceremony that night with the bottle of Hennessy, like the big bottle with the long neck.
That's liquid courage right there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to do something
And
stupid.
by the time he hit that stage, he was about 3/4 through it. And if you've ever had too much Hennessy, like, you know it'll make you say some reckless shit.
I wonder what was he doing right before he went on stage.
Oh no, he had already said he had already smoked some weed and he got drunk that night.
Yeah.
So that's
was
why
faded.
he was definitely faded.
Yeah.
And you see the Queen Bee, Beyonce's face when it happens. Beyonce, she bodied the whole like process of like answering questions after that, because she didn't throw Kanye under the bus.
Nope.
But she also said Taylor should have been allowed to have her moment. So she
looked like the queen she is. That's why I got a T-shirt with her face on it.
Well, there's an even bigger moment.
There's
the whole Trump thing.
It's a more recent moment for sure.
Yeah, you know, the whole "Make America Great" and something that, you know, we know, you know, you should be allowed to have your own opinions and things of that nature. But a lot of black folks took that hard, you know what I mean?
That was a hard opinion to
You can
digest.
understand it. You know, you love Kanye. Black folks love Kanye.
Yeah.
And to hear them say that just kind of hurts you a little bit. So it's not as much like, hey, first of all, you know, so many people hate, you know, Trump, you know, from certain, you know, certain
I
women.
would say, hey, they disagree.
I'd say
he's got a lot of hate.
You think it's hate?
Yeah.
I think this is a super wild thing for me to say, but right now, like, a lot of people would put him on the list of like Hitlers and Mussolinis and stuff. Like,
really?
People just have
They
such
say he
a
gathering
negative
support from Latinos. I'm like, ain't they trying
I
to?
think that's Republican propaganda. I don't know how many of the like this is purely anecdotal, but like my girlfriend is Latin, and none of her Latin family supports Trump. As far as I understand
and
it.
If only and typically it's likely going to be the Latino community that is always that have always supported Republicans, which are the Puerto Ricans. In America. So it's literally probably the same motherfuckers that.
There's also like a lot of things that like Fox will do where like I forget dude's name, but they got an older black man that's a sheriff in some town, and he's like a huge Trump supporter, and they have him on all the time.
Put him in
like,
the front row.
And also, let me be specific, although they are American territory, but a lot of Puerto Ricans that were born on the mainland. Those type of Republicans are the ones I'm talking about. So
yeah. But anyways, the Trump shit that was hard to swallow, right? And especially because it seemed like he kept trying to pivot it. Like at one point it was about like him redesigning the hat.
Yeah.
And then another point it was about this like White House visit. And it just felt like he was just trying to like pivot. But it just, I don't know. When I look back on that, I'm giving him a huge benefit of like he might have been going through some mental shit, and like maybe he's using that as a crutch at this point because that seems to be his excuse for anything. But I also think that it seems like he's got something going on that makes him erratic.
I think he was just, you know, he found something. Like I think he was also in his you know, his moment where
it's like contrarian bag.
Yeah. And so I think he started to attach himself a little bit to Candace Owens. I'm not going to go into Candace Owens' views and all that shit, but he found something he could attach himself to. He found a person he can attach himself to, and he started and he started to absorb those beliefs. When in actuality, he may not have wanted to really be amongst that. And he eventually found out, it was like, oh yeah, I feel like a puppet now. And obviously
he did say that, right?
Yeah.
He went from saying that him and Trump have the same dragon energy to saying that he was, you know, he had been made to be a puppet.
I think it was more so talking about as not as much Trump, but more so in the bag. He felt like Candace Owens made him a puppet.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
that actually, I'm glad you brought that point up. I think we need to have a whole show on what the fuck would say to Trump if we ever got a chance to like actually interview him on a live stage. Like, what the fuck would you say to him besides something intelligent?
You know who I feel like would do really well
real.
with that is Charlemagne. I feel like he's gotten to a
Charlemagne versus Trump.
Yeah, I feel like he's gotten to a point where he'll still. Like he just recently interviewed Elizabeth Warren, and he brought up the fact that she like got her degree at Harvard based on declaring that she's Native American, she's blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and she's a potential, presidential candidate. I mean, she is a presidential candidate, so he's not afraid to ask people, but he's matured a bit. But anyways, that would be a good one.
And I'll just, I think that would be a good show.
What would you say?
I would say, how many black people have you ever been around more than a week?
He probably did coke with
he was
Russell
partying,
Simmons,
right? In the late 80s, early 90s, he might have been.
He definitely did some coke with Russell Simmons.
Non-celebrity.
Okay.
Non-celebrity.
Yeah, because I was going to say,
because
like, pre-presidential election, like, I think he got along with a lot.
Everybody.
Yeah.
But he was just amongst the, like, elite assholes.
You could probably ask many politicians that, and they would probably have the same answer as Mr. Trump.
And that's the devil's
on both liberal and the Republican side.
Yeah, I definitely believe that.
I don't think Hillary is hanging out with a whole lot of non-celebrity black people.
So if we're talking about interviews, let's go to the interview that we just watched not too long ago.
Good point.
I mean,
good one, Ferg.
I mean, goodness, man.
That's why he's the host. You see how smooth that was?
He pivoted that shit like a pimp, like a baller.
Yeah, they might check his shoes. He got wheels on them. Like, damn.
The beard is the beard. That's what does it for him. So did the interview kind of change your thoughts? Did it give you any sympathy for Kanye? Well, what do you think?
I mean, I think I had already reached a pretty sympathetic view on Kanye before watching the interview, but I was impressed with
David.
I don't know, it humanized Kanye a lot for me.
Yeah.
I think David, as much as I shit on him in the past, like he does a pretty good job of humanizing people.
I liked it. Definitely gave. One thing, Kanye admitting the play of mental health and the whole thing doesn't mean that, some of the things he said we have to agree with, but he said, I have these moments that, are bigger than what I really want them to be at the time, although maybe the views that he thinks about are the same. It's just that he can maybe contextualize those a lot better when he's like, if he was on meds or whatever. And right now he's not, but he's trying to control things. So it's just like he's in this weird space where he's just like saying shit, everything that's in his head. And he kind of hinted at that he likes that, but it's also problematic. So I actually, he definitely humanized himself a little bit, and and allowed me to have a little more sympathy for him as a person.
Yeah, this is kind
although
of
I
like,
still had sympathy for him anyway.
Yeah, already.
But I think I had another perspective of sympathy, like another layer on top of it. You know what I mean?
It's a weird thing to say because, like, especially of everything else I've always said about it before, but that interview made me realize like how lucky he actually is to have Kim Kardashian.
Oh yeah.
I feel like she's really held him down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she kind of like protects him. It seems like. So
I
it's
told you she's all right. She just had a rough start.
I think that I used to shit on like the Kardashians ruined Kanye, that. I used to put a lot of blame on that, and I don't know. Lately, I've been like, maybe she's been like a real stabilizing force for him, and we don't realize it.
I think she has, but there are some black women that like beg to differ. Like, oh, if he was with a certain type of woman, he wouldn't have never said these types of things and stuff like that.
I've heard
and who
that
knows
before.
if that's true? Yeah,
that's some bullshit.
Yeah, who
especially
knows
about the like slavery not being real and all that
stuff. And like, but I think he would be way more out there if I think she gives him a balance that I think she knows as a wife. He needs that like creative or that outlet
freedom.
to be able to freedom to speak.
She nurtures it.
But she also can like reel him in behind the scenes, and she don't be up in the front like on TV like, well, I told him not to do this, blah blah.
Right.
It's always behind the scenes.
So always,
like,
She carrying this wife thing.
Oh yeah,
like a
she
beast.
do her thing. Like you can't like you.
She
like
Kim K her fucking
and freeing
respect.
people out of jail and shit on the regular
She's like-
too,
she
raising
definitely
four
is-
kids.
Kim K need to be president. She need to.
She's like a first lady
Kim K
type.
for president.
Like she's like if you think about what a first lady is, she's like that protector.
She
of the
is a
husband.
first lady.
Man, honestly, Trump's in office. I'm not mad at the thought. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but We've seen worse, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
We've seen worse.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why fucking not?
Exactly.
I mean,
She's getting people out of jail for nonviolent
Yeah.
crimes. That's just so dope to me.
So, Katie, did you feel differently about?
First of all, Kanye is an only child. Kanye's been traumatized a lot throughout his life. Kanye is somebody who is he doesn't follow trends. Like he said, he's always felt like his niche was to be outside the box as a leader or as somebody who wants to explore. He's an explorer.
Yep.
And so when you have that mentality, trying to relay those kind of messages to people, you know, and he's not the best oratorical type of dude.
Yeah.
His bag is get these beats, get this flow, get some bars. You know, he's out of his bag trying to be a semantician or a wordsmith.
He's a real creator, so he's just shooting shit out there.
So that's what Ron Fest told him. He said, you should just put your stuff in the music. That's why Sunday service was created. Ron Fest told him, like, you should have a different outlet. Like, this is how you should present it.
Gotcha.
You know, present it in the way you're most comfortable with, which is in music. And so Ron Fest is kind of the catalyst for this whole Sunday service, which y'all saw, which David Letterman gave him real props on. Like, he said,
I thought that was dope.
He's like, I wouldn't even imagine how I could like explain to my family, like, you know, how good this was. You know what I mean? So, as far as the interview, like, what were like the thing that you really liked, Kenneth?
I mean, I don't think I would have expected this, but I actually kind of enjoyed seeing Kanye talk about like some of these things that aren't music, like seeing his how passionate he is about fashion. Like, I know we just said that we wish he'd focus on music more.
Yep.
But like, it is dope to see that like it's not just it's not a mindless distraction. Like he's putting a lot into that.
It's a passion.
Yeah.
He's also like doing some like those artists that he was referencing are really, really, really heady art, like Kaufman, like all that stuff, like really, really heady. Like, and it's a lot more like he used to like reference like Steve Jobs, Walt Disney. And that all felt like egomaniacal, kind of. And this feels more like he's actually trying to like learn and like broaden his artistic ability. So I enjoyed that.
So I had an interesting
Epiphany
perspective. Yeah, like it was like one thing I enjoy as a person that's into technology is like the way his crib was set up.
Can we all agree that's the dopest?
Yeah.
Him and Akon, I've seen like Akon has like. Him and Akon got the best.
I'm gonna have to see Akon's house because Ye's crib just then was.
But what was weird? It was I don't know if you guys have ever saw the movie Her before.
Yeah.
But it was like if you took Her and like
it's a good reference right there.
Made it like a rich person within that movie.
Yeah.
Like that's what it
those
felt
ceiling
like to
lights.
Me. Yeah, it was crazy.
So clean.
And you kind of talked about you hinted at another moment. I'm a fan of Kaufman. So like him talking about like how Kaufman was like a little inspiration to him.
I thought that
was
so dope.
You know, the great people, you know, if anyone doesn't know Andy Kaufman, you can look him up and shit, comedian. But he had this weird way of like doing his comedy. You know, he kind of started where like he would do things that people would almost hate him when he was on stage. Like he would go and read like Moby Dick on stage and just read it. And that was his comedy show. And people were throwing shit at him and yelling at him and shit like that. But what he was saying is he would love to deal with the media as Kaufman kind of dealt with everyone in the world. The joke
never breaking character.
And the joke was on you.
Yeah.
You know, some people, when Kaufman died, people thought he faked his death. Like, oh, this is a joke. Like for a while, for days, they didn't know if he really died or not.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that. What about you, Katie? What you had a specific thing you like?
With Kanye,
with that interview.
Oh, with the interview, I just like the fact that David Letterman asked good questions, and he actually, you know, he didn't make Kanye, you know, how he didn't slant it a way to make him look crazy. He just he gave it was like an alley-oop. It's like try this.
He protected him in that interview, and he didn't do a TMZ. He didn't TMZ him.
Right.
Like he could have let Kanye go
weird
crazy, but he would always kind of he would do another question like, all right, let's reel him in,
package it,
and, you know, and he protected him. He didn't. I think he didn't want his show to be that like sensationalized article that came out tomorrow about Kanye. So I really
he just went into Kanye's world and just like, all right, well, I'm gonna put you in the zone where you at, and then this is what we're gonna talk about.
It's weird because like, but when I heard about David Letterman interviewing Kanye, I was like, oh, I was hoping for that Joe Rogan interview because there was a lot of talk about that for a while, and I was thinking that. I would prefer that style because Joe Rogan will ask really hard-hitting questions, like very bluntly.
Yeah.
And I was like, David Letterman, my whole point was David Letterman felt too family safe.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like that's kind of exactly what Kanye needed in this state that he was in. So it was actually like better that he was with Letterman as opposed to like maybe Joe Rogan. No disrespect to Joe Rogan.
Did you have anything you didn't like in an interview?
You know, it's weird because it was an hour long, and that's a lot to watch. But
Yeah.
I felt like some things were rushed.
Yeah.
And I felt like we were just there's a couple points where it's like, oh, they're just about to start talking about some like real ass shit, and then like the conversation would change.
Yeah. I think when that moment when everybody talks about like, yo, if you didn't vote, you have no say. And in some cases I agree with that, but why and Kanye had a great point there, like, so why the fuck does everything I say have so much weight? You know what I mean? Like if I really don't have a say in this whole thing in this political world, why when I say something fucked up,
I'm gonna tell you it
has such a huge impact. So obviously that is not
he
true.
Exposed him.
I also think it's a super cliche when people say, oh, you didn't vote, then you have no say, because there's tons of people who sometimes just can't vote, like, and we don't understand, like, we think they can, but they can't. So it's like such a cliche thing to say.
I don't give a fuck. You live in this country, like, fuck that.
Like, the whole point of this country is we get to have an opinion, and now you say we can't. Like,
it's
weird. Yeah.
What about Katie? Did you have anything you didn't like?
To me, I mean, actually, I didn't. Like, I just seen it just with y'all.
Yeah.
And so with that, I mean, I just appreciate it. I love giving somebody an opportunity who's misunderstood to kind of like show their truth and explain themselves. Only thing I don't like his clothes.
That's a good
don't
one.
like him. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, are you?
Wait, you talking about David Letterman or
like,
Kanye West?
Although I think he hooked Dave up.
Dave upgraded, right?
Pretty good.
Dave upgraded.
I didn't like David Letterman clothes when he was not when I didn't like none of this shit. I didn't like.
You wouldn't be on those cowboy boots he showed up in.
Nope, but I didn't like the shit that he was putting on.
With
that Kanye was.
I actually
I just like his boots. I just like Kanye's boots.
Yeah.
All the other shit, I'm like, come on, man.
Those black boots or whatever.
That look that he put on Dave made sense for Dave.
I think so. I think they nailed it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that he does that's really futuristic.
Like, if you put that outfit on one of us, I think that shit looks like trash.
Yeah.
Like
I would rock that jacket though. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would rock that jacket.
Talking about the overcoat looking
jacket. I would have rocked that.
He put 10 jackets on David Letterman.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You got on 30 jackets in there in Cali.
I will say, remember the big puffy black one with the big hood?
I thought
like all you could see was his David Letterman's beard poking out of it. Like,
I was thinking this is like a sub. He's trying to clown Kanye in his clothes. Like look how retarded all this shit look.
He did sub diss him because he was like, nah, I don't want these sneakers. And Kanye's like, those are like $1,000 sneakers. Like Dave's like, nah, I'm cool. Like
so I'll take these kids.
So yeah, I really appreciated the whole thing.
Me too.
I kind of wanted this to be like a shorter episode and kind of a learning lesson episode, kind of look at Kanye and see, have we had any change? Should we cancel him or not? I think we all in agreement that motherfucker should not be canceled.
No,
he's one of our geniuses.
He's still a good dude, man. Let the man navigate through what he needs to navigate in life.
Let him breathe. Just let him breathe a bit.
You ain't gotta agree with everything in it, because I promise you, if you put your cameras on me every day, it's gonna be a lot of shit you just don't agree with.
Some of my best friends, I can't stand the way they think. Like,
it's like, dude.
Right. So I think, guys, at the end of the day,
keep Kanye.
Hey,
Kanye.
I want you to get all the connects. Get in the comments. Tell us if you think Kanye should be canceled. Watch the actual interview and tell us what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. Some things that maybe we missed that you maybe would want to talk about, discuss in the comments. Do that to all the connects. We love you. Subscribe. WeLuvTrap everywhere. Click that little bell right next to the subscribe button so you get a notification when shit come out. And we love y'all. Peace.
Peace.